Right, so I've been making bread today. I use strong white flour. These are my cooking stuff. I used dry yeast sachets. I used, what else did I use? That was it really. Flour and olive oil. And this is the bread. It's been sitting here for 45 minutes proving. I don't know what it looks like now. Oh, it's risen quite a lot. Nice and springy. So I'm going to quickly knock it back and I'll show you what I do. So basically just want a surface. Let's get that crap out of the way. Just want a surface. And a lot of people use flour. I'm just going to use a bit of water. It's going to seem very wet, I know, but you wet the surface down and you wet your hands down. And then it doesn't stick. So wet your hands. And then plonk it out onto a surface. Now this bread, look, this dough looks very damp. You literally just have to kind of move it around and just knock it back. Get the right old mess, but hey, that's looking a bit better now. Right. So I'm cooking this in a what's called a Dutch oven. Dutch oven is one of these things that has a lid. So I'm going to put some olive oil in and run it all round inside, right up the sides. Right, dumped it right in there. I shall show you in a minute. I'm just trying to push it down. Give it a little sprinkle of olive oil on top. Just pat that down. And the reason I'm doing that is because a nice seed mix. And it's a seed mix that I buy from Poundland, and it has sunflower, pumpkin, sesame and golden linseed in it. So I'm just going to snip the top off my seed mix. Right, so that's what it looks like after I've made a mess. Pop it in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop this lid back on the Dutch oven. And I'm going to let it rise up again. I'm just going to leave it here on the stove and let it do its second proof, which will be about another 30 minutes or so. So this is the bread after the second proof, and you can see it's risen right up in the Dutch oven. It's nice and wobbly and all the seeds are stuck to the top nicely. So this now has to go in a hot oven, which it says gas smart 8, which goes up to 9. I've had it set and on, so there's quite some warm air coming up there, which has helped with the proof at the back of the oven. So yeah, it looks nice now. Now you cook it with the lid on. I've got some spray oil. I'm just going to spray the top of this lid. It's just like a butter low fry spray. And then I'm going to put that on so the lid doesn't stick. Now what happens, this goes, when it goes in the oven, you need to put it in there for 30 minutes. And then after 30 minutes you take the lid off, and it should be nice and brown and crispy, and then it just crisps up a bit more after that. So I'm going to put it in the oven and we'll see how it does, and then I will show you what it looks like when it comes out. It's looking nice already. Can't wait. I'm going to have some nice soup and a bit of crusty bread for lunch. Right, so it's had 30 minutes in the oven, and I'm just going to take the lid off to have a look. Whoa, that is risen up lovely, and it is nice and golden brown, and that is nice and crunchy. Now it says you can stick it in the oven for another 5 minutes. I'm not 100% sure I need to. Right, so sorry about the bit of the shit filming and stuff, but hey, I finally got this loaf of bread cooked. It's one of the first loaf of breads I've ever cooked from scratch. I've normally used those crappy bread loaf mixes where you just add a bit of water, mix it and throw it in a tin and shove it in the oven, but they always come out tiny and no flavour or anything. Or I use these type of things that you just part bake baguettes, which are always quite handy for, you know, a breakfast baguette or something. But I've decided to make my own fresh bread, and do you know what? It was a piece of piss. So I'm going to cut it now, put the camera down for 2 sets, cut it, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like. Right, so I sliced through the bit. I'm just going to show you what it looks like inside. It's still hot, it's still steaming. And do you know what? I think that actually looks really nice. It's nice and springy. There's not huge holes anywhere, because I was frightened there was going to be like big air holes everywhere. And this is so crispy. So I'm going to pause it again. Oh my god. This is I know that it's just because I made it myself, but it's like one of the nicest tasting breads I've had in ages. Absolutely delicious. And it was no fuss. It wasn't kneading, it wasn't hours of proving. You mix the flour with the yeast, with salt and water and a bit of olive oil. Mixed it, put it in a bowl, proved it for 30 minutes. Then You took it out, knocked it back, put it back in the bowl. I put it in the Dutch oven. Now the reason this Dutch oven, the reason they say cook it in this, is when you put the lid on, it acts like a steaming inside with the loaf, and that's why it gets nice and crispy and crunchy. And to be honest with you, that's quite a nice sized loaf for us. There's 2 of us in our family, and that will probably last a good day or more, just over a day or more, if we eat that much bread. I don't even know if we'll eat that all in a day. But I know this piece isn't going to last much longer. And then I threw some seeds on top. Now the guy, when he did it, he put the seeds in the bowl, threw the dough in on top of the bowl, and let it do its last 30-minute prove. I put the dough in the thing and pushed the seeds on top and let it do it last 30. But I think when the prove is upside down, the seeds stick into the dough more and they don't come off like they have, because I'm left with all the seeds here when I turned it out and not a lot on the bread. But I could also throw those seeds in the bread with that in the dough, but oh my god, it's delicious. Once it's proved for the last 30 minutes in the thing, you then just put it in with the lid on in the oven for another 30 minutes. So in about 2 hours I have this loaf of bread, and it's hardly any fuss at all, and it tastes absolutely wonderful. So I would advise you to try it yourself. Yummy.